The last time my sister made me miss the final ferry for her wedding photos, I lost a promotion, maxed out my credit cards, and eventually lost my life. So when my phone rang again, and Tessa cried over the ocean wind, "Hannah, are you seriously going to leave us on the island? Welcome to revenge cookies. Imagine sacrificing your career, your finances, and your very life, all because your entitled sister refuses to pack a suitcase on time." In her last life, playing the designated family savior literally killed her. This time, she's leaving them in the hurricane and getting on the damn boat. Pour yourself a drink, darling. It's time to leave the dead weight on the island. I stared at the flashing electronic sign beyond my windshield. Final boarding. 12 minutes until boarding closed. My right foot was already on the brake. In my last life, this exact call made me turn around less than 2 miles from the terminal. I went back for her. "Mom, Linda," breathed a sigh of relief. Dad, Peter, patted my shoulder and said, "I knew you wouldn't really leave." Tessa hugged me and cried, swearing she only needed 20 more minutes. Those 20 minutes turned into 12 days. This time, I moved my foot from the brake to the gas. "Yes," I said. There was a beat of silence on the other end. "What?" I said. "I am getting on the ferry. But we're not packed yet. The photographer says the clouds are perfect right now, 20 minutes tops." I checked the rearview mirror. The sky over the coast had turned lead gray, and the wind was bending the palm trees nearly sideways. "Then keep shooting." What is that supposed to mean? Exactly what it sounds like. I bought all 4 tickets and posted the details in the group chat twice. If you leave now, you might still make it. I am not turning around to pick you up. Tessa stopped crying. Her voice shot up. "You know Mom and Dad aren't going to leave me here alone. That is their choice. What is wrong with you today?" I knew that line too well. In my last life, anytime I didn't immediately say, "I'll handle it," someone in my family would ask what was wrong with me. I laughed once. Even to me, it sounded a little absurd. Maybe something finally is. I ended the call and pulled into the ferry terminal parking lot. The boarding area was packed with people dragging luggage. Staff kept calling out for passengers to have their IDs ready. Some people hauled suitcases. Others carried pet crates. Everything was chaotic, but somehow the chaos calmed me, because none of it was mine to manage. I pulled out my own suitcase, and my phone buzzed again. The family group chat was exploding. "Mom, your dad says you really left." "Dad, the forecast could still change." "Tessa, Hannah, stop being ridiculous." I opened the ferry company's notice and took a screenshot. "This evening's sailing will be the final departure before service is suspended for weather." I dropped the screenshot into the group chat. "Me. Last ferry. All 4 tickets are valid. If you want to leave, come now." Tessa replied immediately. "We're still packing the dresses." "Me. Then pack faster." "Mom, it would go much faster if you came back and helped her carry everything." I looked down at the single 24-inch suitcase beside my feet. In my last life, when I left that rental house, I had my own suitcase. Mom's shopping bags, Dad's camera equipment, 3 garment bags full of Tessa's dresses, and a box of last-minute decorations. Next. A staff member waved me forward. I locked my phone and handed over my ticket. The scanner flashed green. Beep. Just one tiny sound. And yet my hand suddenly started shaking. "Ma'am?" the staff member asked, looking at me. "I am fine." I took my boarding pass and walked ahead. No one stopped me. No invisible wall rose out of the ground to tell me that a good sister wasn't allowed to leave by herself. The boarding ramp was right in front of me. Dad called. I answered. "Hannah, your mom is almost in tears. Are you driving over yet?" "Not yet. The train on Tessa's dress got sand on it. She is cleaning it off." I closed my eyes for a second. "Dad, boarding closes in 12 minutes. You are the one handling the itinerary. Can't you explain the situation to the staff?" I almost laughed. "Explain what?" "Ask them to wait." "Dad, I am a project manager, not the god of the sea." Silence. I actually laughed. A woman beside me glanced over. I pressed my lips together, but my shoulders were still shaking. Dad's voice hardened. "This isn't funny." "Sorry," I said. But you just asked me to negotiate with a public ferry so it can delay departure for a wedding photo shoot. He drew in a breath. You always used to find a way. That was then. Staff began calling final boarding. I pulled my suitcase forward. Mom called next. Your sister is crying. Then stay with her. How can you say that? She is about to get married. This matters to her. I know. Then come back. Mom. I stopped halfway up the ramp. Wind rushed off the water and blew my hair across my face. Every one of you has a ticket. Every one of you knows when the ferry leaves. If you choose to stay, I won't stop you. Hannah, but I am not staying with you. I hung up the second I sat down inside the cabin. Tessa started a video call. She was standing outside the seaside rental, her white dress covered by a clear garment bag, her eye makeup already smudged by the wind. Mom stood behind her holding 2 bags while Dad shoved things into the car. We're leaving now, she shouted. Go tell them to wait for us. Outside my window, the crew was already raising the boarding ramp. It is too late. You didn't even ask. I have eyes. She whipped the camera toward Mom. Linda shouted anxiously. Hannah, go find the captain. I looked toward the far end of the cabin. A uniformed crew member was setting a coffee cup into a holder. I looked back at my phone. Mom, do you seriously think I can walk up to the captain and tell him to hold an entire ferry while Tessa finishes packing her dresses? Mom opened her mouth, then closed it. Tessa panicked. Then what are we supposed to do? The ferry horn sounded low and deep. The shoreline began to slide away. I looked at her. In my last life, those words landed on me every single day. What are we supposed to do? What should Hannah do? Hannah, figure it out. Hannah, handle it. I brought the phone closer to my ear. Figure something out. Then I hung up. By the time the ferry cleared the breakwater, I realized my palms were drenched in sweat. I wiped them on my pants, and my phone lit up again. This time it wasn't my family. It was a local emergency alert. Evacuation guidance has been upgraded. Ferry service will be suspended after this sailing. Almost at the exact same moment, Mom sent a message to the family group chat. Mom, they upgraded the warning. Another message appeared right after it. Tessa, Hannah, is there still time for you to come back? I stared at Tessa's message for 5 seconds, then turned my phone face down on my thigh. The ferry had been away from the island for more than 20 minutes, and she was still asking if I could come back. The older man beside me heard my phone buzzing nonstop and glanced over. Family? Unfortunately. He laughed. I laughed too. When my shoulders finally loosened, I realized how tense I'd been the whole time. When we reached the mainland terminal, I didn't stand at the exit making frantic calls for my family the way I had in my last life. I went straight to the hotel. The front desk clerk handed me a key card. Just one guest? Yes. As soon as I got to my room, I opened my banking app. The seaside rental was secured with my card, because Tessa had tied up most of her credit limit in wedding deposits. I called the property manager. After the scheduled checkout tomorrow, if the other 3 guests stay, please collect a new payment method directly from them. They may not be able to leave while transportation is shut down because of the weather. I know. You are sure you want to cancel authorization for any extension? Absolutely. Then I changed the mainland hotel reservation to 1 room for 1 person, and kept only my own return flight. There was only 1 name left on my screen. Hannah Morgan. I stared at it for a few seconds. In my last life, every reservation I made had 3 other names attached to mine. Mom called, almost immediately. The hotel says your card won't cover us after tomorrow. That is right. We're stranded here. Give the front desk one of your cards. Your dad's card has the rental car deposit on it, and mine still has wedding expenses. Call the bank. She lowered her voice. Tessa doesn't have enough available credit, then she can call hers. Hannah, this is not the time to teach everyone a lesson. I am not teaching anyone a lesson. I am just not paying your hotel bill. Silence. I barely recognize you anymore. My hands stopped over the keyboard. That still hurt. I took a breath and finished typing the subject line of my work email. Travel update available for leadership panel. That is okay, I said. You only need to recognize that my card isn't available. After I hung up, I attached the ferry suspension notice and emailed it to my manager, Meredith Shaw. In my last life, I'd missed the final interview for our internal leadership program, on my 5th day trapped on the island. Meredith had already pushed it back once for me, and eventually the committee couldn't wait any longer. This time, I wrote, I've safely reached the mainland and can attend as scheduled. 10 minutes later, Meredith replied, Good, keep the slot. I stared at those words until my nose suddenly burned. The hot soup I'd ordered arrived at the door. I had barely taken one sip when the family group chat exploded again. Dad, the ferry website won't load. Tessa, the photographer left early. She didn't even tell us. Dad, Hannah, you have the booking number. Call and ask if there are any other boats. Me, the website says service is suspended. Dad, call anyway. Me, number Dad, why? I put down my spoon. Me, because answering the phone won't magically build you another ferry. The group chat went silent for a full minute. Tessa, you are enjoying this, aren't you? My fingers flew across the screen, typing something sharp. Then I deleted every word. She knew nothing about my last life. I typed again. Me, I want you all to be safe. Follow the hotel and local emergency instructions. By 9, that night, the storm track was bearing down on the island. The red warning zone on the television made my stomach tighten. I remembered the hallways after the power went out. I remembered Mom's hands shaking as she searched for her medication in the dark. I opened the family group chat and typed, Keep your IDs together, and put the medication in a waterproof bag, then deleted each message one by one. The hotel would tell them what to do. They were all adults. In the end, I sent only this. Me, follow the hotel emergency instructions. Keep medication and documents with you. Stay off flooded roads. Mom replied with a thumbs up. I put my phone on Do Not Disturb. 5 minutes later, I picked it up again. Checked once. Put it down. 10 minutes later, I picked it up again. Pathetic, I muttered. I shoved the phone under my pillow. The next morning, the island lost power, and my family was moved into an interior conference room at the hotel. Mom sent a photo. Dad was asleep against the wall. Tessa was wrapped in a hotel blanket, her hair looking like a seagull had tried to build a nest in it. I almost laughed. Then another message came in. Mom, I am running low on my prescription. Can you contact my doctor for me? In my last life. I'd made 6 phone calls to solve that problem. This time I replied, Me. Call your doctor's office and ask them to transfer the prescription to the clinic on the island. Mom, can't you call for me? The signal here is terrible. Me. Use the hotel landline. Mom, Hannah. I stared at the screen. Me, Mom, you can do this. 23 minutes later. Mom, done. I can pick it up this afternoon. I put my phone down. Without me, she had still gotten her medication. At noon, I joined the video meeting. Meredith was already online, along with Jack Bennett, the regional operations program lead. He glanced at the hotel room behind me. Family safe, still on the island. You left, on the last ferry. He paused for half a second. Good call. Just 2 words. No one asked why I hadn't stayed behind to take care of my parents. Meredith tapped the desk. Ready. 40 minutes later, the meeting ended. My hands were shaking badly under the desk. Jack didn't log off right away. Your answer about ownership and accountability was strong. Thank you. Especially the part about planning, not meaning making other people's decisions for them. I looked into the camera. I've had some recent practice. He smiled and signed off. My phone buzzed almost immediately. Tessa had posted a new video. She was sitting in a dim hotel stairwell, her eyes red. The title read, Bride vs. Hurricane Day 4. She looked into the camera and said, Sometimes it takes a crisis to show you who will actually stay when things get hard. Where is your sister? Tessa saw it. She didn't answer. She just liked the comment. I saved the video to a folder called Island. In my last life, I hadn't saved any of this. After Tessa liked that comment, she gained 20,000 followers. The next day, she posted again. We honestly thought transportation had already been taken care of. I was editing a report in a coffee shop. My mouse stopped moving. Screenshot. Save. The folder was called Island. On day 6, a 3rd video appeared. Tessa sat beside an emergency light and spoke softly. I don't want to blame anyone, but when you trust someone completely with the travel plans, and then find out they've already left, it is hard to describe what that feels like. I set down my coffee. She still hadn't said my name, but people in the comments had already found me. Simone asked. So your sister was responsible for transportation? Tessa replied. I don't want to share private family details. I laughed out loud. Across from me, Jack looked up from behind his laptop. Good news. Number bad news. Not exactly. I turned my phone around. He read it and raised an eyebrow. That is efficient. What is? She answered the question while preserving the option to claim she didn't. I stared at him. Do you work in risk management or family drama analysis? Today, both. By then, I'd already returned to the city where my company was based, and the second round of the leadership program had started. Jack was part of the evaluation team, so we kept ending up in the same meetings. He wasn't much for comforting people. I actually liked that about him. The first time he asked if I could quickly fill out a vendor risk sheet for another team, I almost answered on reflex. Sure. The word left my mouth, and I stopped. That sheet belonged to another project manager. Actually, no, I can send them the template, but I can't own it. I waited for the familiar flash of annoyance. Jack only nodded. Okay, I'll tell them. He took 2 steps, then turned back. Why do you look like I just spared your life? I don't. You do. Go to your meeting, Jack. He walked away smiling. That afternoon, my cousin Megan called. Tessa just said she didn't know it was the last ferry. I stood up. Send me her exact words. You are not going to respond. Not yet. Why? In my last life, I'd explained myself too quickly. Long posts, anger. Tears Tessa would cry. Mom would ask me to delete everything. Dad would say family business shouldn't be dragged online, and eventually the facts would dissolve into a story about 2 sisters who simply disagreed. Because she isn't finished yet, I said. Megan sucked in a breath. Hannah Morgan, you are kind of scary right now. I'll take that as a compliment. That night, Tessa finally crossed the line. Standing in a hotel hallway, she said, I truly didn't know it was the last ferry. We were told there would be other options. Then the person responsible for transportation just left. I watched the video to the end, then watched it again, saved it. She had finally turned implication into a direct claim. The family group chat from that day was still sitting on my phone. Me, last ferry. All 4 tickets are valid. Tessa, we're still packing the dresses. Me, then pack faster. I saved that too. The next day, Meredith called me into her office. Is the situation with Tessa going to affect work? Number, I won't involve the company. Good. She slid an evaluation sheet across the desk. You passed the first stage. I looked down at the score. It was higher than anything I dared imagine in my last life. Jack spotted the sheet on the desk from the doorway. Passed. I nodded. He held out a fist. Don't make it weird. Laughing, I bumped my fist against his. Congratulations. You free tonight? I looked up. He immediately added, Work. Don't read into it. I wasn't reading into anything. Your face was. Smacked his arm lightly with the folder. That evening, the 2 of us met 2 coworkers at a hotel restaurant to talk through the project. As we were leaving, my phone buzzed more than a dozen times in a row. Megan had sent me screenshots. Tessa had just posted a blurry photo. It showed Jack and me leaving the restaurant. One behind the other. The caption read, Funny how some people always have time when it matters to them. The comments had already started guessing. So she left for a man. Heat rushed into my face. Jack caught a glimpse of the screen. What happened? I called Tessa immediately. She answered fast. Take it down. I never said it was you. She laughed. Are you threatening me? Number I opened the photo details. The timestamp shows this picture was taken 2 days after the ferry left the island. If you are trying to make people think I abandoned you in a hurricane for a man, I'll post the original file with the timestamp. The other end went completely silent. Why do you save everything? Because you taught me to. 3 minutes later, the post was gone. Jack looked at me. Should I be offended? I was apparently worth abandoning a hurricane for. I had still been furious, but that made me laugh. Don't flatter yourself. I am trying. The next morning, an email from an unfamiliar address appeared in my inbox. It was from Elise Carter, the wedding photographer. Subject: About the island. The first line read, Hannah, I think you need to see what your sister sent me before the storm. There were 3 attachments below it. I opened the screenshots of their messages. Elise, the weather is getting worse. We're ending the shoot. Please use your ferry tickets and leave today. Tessa, the clouds are perfect right now. 20 more minutes. Elise, number my team is leaving. Tessa, we're staying. Then came the next message. Tessa, Hannah will figure out transportation. I stared at that line. Jack walked past my desk, then backed up 2 steps. You were smiling a second ago. I turned the screen toward him. He read it. His smile disappeared. That is bad. I downloaded every attachment and opened a new document. Number I typed a title. Timeline. This is good. I didn't post anything right away. First, I replied to Elise and got permission to share the screenshots. Then, I blocked out phone numbers, booking numbers, and every piece of private information. After that, I called Meredith. I need to make a public statement about a private situation. Will you mention the company? Number, are you going to insult anyone? I looked at the screenshots. I don't think I'll need to. She laughed once. Then stick to the facts. I built a timeline. Slide 1, the local evacuation advisory. Slide 2, the final ferry notice. Slide 3, 4 confirmed tickets for Linda, Peter, Tessa, and Hannah. Slide 4, the family group chat. Slide 5, Elise telling Tessa to end the shoot and leave the island. Slide 6, Tessa's reply. Hannah will figure out transportation. At the end, I wrote only this. Everyone in my family had a seat on that ferry. I was simply the only one who used mine. My finger hovered over post anyway. I could hear Mom's words from my last life in my head. Don't put family business online. Your sister is getting married. You are the older sister. Let it go. But in this life, Tessa had already turned our family business into content. I hit post. Then I went to take a shower. When I came back, a little over 20 minutes later, my phone felt warm from all the notifications. The comments had completely changed direction. Wait, she bought all 4 tickets. She literally wrote last ferry. The photographer told them too. Hannah will figure out transportation is insane. People started comparing Tessa's last 3 videos line by line with my timeline. Her first video, I don't know why my sister left, screenshot. I had clearly warned everyone. Her second, I didn't realize it was the last ferry. Screenshot, last ferry. Her third, we thought other arrangements had been made. Screenshot, Hannah will figure out transportation, Tessa called. I answered, take it down. No hello, no apology, number. You posted private messages online. You posted public accusations about a private situation. I never said your name. You sent tens of thousands of people looking for my account. I didn't tell them to find you, but you knew they would. Her breathing grew heavier. You know, I have brand partnerships in negotiation, right? I know. And you still posted it. Your partners deserve accurate information too. You are ruining my career. I tapped my fingers against the desk. I only posted things you actually said. She started crying. You've always been jealous of me. I closed my eyes. Don't. You just hate that people pay attention to me. I hope your wedding goes beautifully. Just don't make me the villain in your story. You never used to act like this. You are right. I changed. She hung up. 10 minutes later, Mom called. Your sister is afraid to even look at the comments now. Then she shouldn't look. Hannah. She was trapped on the island and upset. So that means she gets to use me as an outlet. Did you ever ask her to take down the videos about me? Silence. I already had my answer. That afternoon, one of Tessa's sponsors paused a wedding collaboration. She posted again almost immediately. I admit I was scared and said some things that weren't completely accurate, but I still believe real family doesn't turn private conflict into a public trial. The comments split instantly. Then, my aunt messaged me too. Your sister has already been through enough. Why do you have to keep going after her? I stared at the words keep going after her. She had lost 1 collaboration. I didn't write another long explanation. I added a single sentence under my original post. Private problems stop being private when someone turns them into public content. Jack walked by and glanced at it. That is going to travel. Fine by me. He set a coffee on my desk. You look ready to declare war on the printer today. The printer is innocent. Good. Progress. I took a sip. How did you know what I drink? You've ordered the same thing 3 days in a row. You notice too much. Occupational hazard. I was about to answer when my phone buzzed again. Tessa had reposted the photo of Jack and me leaving the restaurant. This time, the caption was more subtle. Some people are always too busy, yet somehow they make time for the people they actually want to see. I stood up and called her immediately. Delete it. I didn't even say it was you. 9 minutes. Why are you so scared of people finding out about you and that man? Because that photo was taken 2 days after the storm. You are trying to make people think I abandoned my family for a date. That is not expressing your feelings. That is inventing a new story. She gave a cold laugh. You've gotten really good at threatening people. It is not a threat. It is a timestamp. 8 minutes left. 4 minutes later, the photo disappeared. I sat back down. Jack turned his chair toward me. Am I still the mysterious man? Shut up. So that is a yes. I crumpled up a sticky note and threw it at him. He caught it, looking far too pleased with himself. I couldn't help laughing too. At 6 that evening, Dad sent a message. Dad, we're coming back tomorrow. Dad, come to the house the night after. Dad, we need to discuss the extra expenses from this trip. There was a spreadsheet attached. At the bottom, in bold total, $9,700. Tessa added right after it. At least this time you can't pretend it has nothing to do with you. I put my phone down. Jack came out of the conference room. Bad. I showed him the screen. 9,700? Yup. I picked up my bag. Apparently they're planning to tell me it is tomorrow night. What are you going to do? I pressed the elevator button. Get dinner. He blinked. Now. Yes. The doors opened. I stepped inside. I don't argue well on an empty stomach. The next evening, when I walked into my parents' house, the dining table was covered in bills. Hotel charges, changed flights, meals, rental car extensions, wedding vendors that had to be rebooked. Dad had a calculator in front of him. Mom held a notepad. Tessa sat there in a gray sweatshirt with no makeup. It was the look she always wore when she wanted everyone to see how much she'd already suffered. I hung my bag over the back of a chair. Let's do this. Dad pushed the spreadsheet toward me. The storm cost us an extra $9,700. We think the fairest solution is to split it 4 ways. Number Dad frowned. You haven't even looked at the breakdown. I don't need to. Mom folded her hands together. Hannah, we're trying to handle this calmly. Great. Let's be calm. Dad pointed to the hotel line. The lodging alone was over $4,000. You chose to stay. We were stranded because we missed the ferry. Why did you miss it? Tessa looked up. Because I was working. You were taking wedding photos. That is part of my work too. Great, I nodded. Then list the extra hotel charges as a business expense. Her face flushed. Why do you have to say everything like that? Like what? She didn't answer. Dad tapped the table. Stop dodging. You were responsible for the itinerary. And I handled it. Then how did this happen? 4 tickets on the last ferry. There you go again. Yes, there I go again. As long as you are saying I should pay. Those 4 tickets are going to keep coming up. Mom's voice tightened. Your sister was under a lot of pressure that day. I know. You are her older sister. You've always been better at handling things. I suddenly laughed. It started as one short sound, and then I couldn't stop. Tessa glared at me. What are you laughing at? I covered my eyes for a second. They were already burning. Do you hear yourselves? The table went quiet. Every time you want me to do more, you tell me I am more mature, more stable, stronger. Mom's expression changed. Hannah. I took a drink of water. The glass clicked softly against the table when I set it down. Do you know why I am strong? Because no one ever thought I needed someone to catch things when I dropped them. So stop using you can handle more, like it is a compliment. I am not paying. Dad's face darkened. We paid for college. We helped you move. You are my parents. I looked straight at him. Helping your daughter apply to school isn't a lifetime bond. You get to cash in whenever Tessa goes over budget. Mom pressed her lips together. Families help each other. Help is voluntary. What you want is an automatic subscription. Tessa shot to her feet. Fine. Then, let's talk about my career. Okay. You made me look like a liar. You said things that weren't true. I was scared. Being scared was real. I looked up at her. I didn't know it was the last ferry, was not. Do you really have to obsess over one phrase? Yes, because you used that phrase to put the responsibility on me. Her eyes turned red. I just felt like you left me. I did leave. You chose yourself. The room went silent. Yes, I chose myself. Once. The anger on Tessa's face faltered for a moment. For the past year, your contracts, your hotels, your seating chart, your transportation, mom and dad's trips, every last-minute emergency, all of it came to me. I like solving problems, but all of you used that until I didn't have any time left for my own life. Mom said quietly, "We never forced you. You are right. That part is on me." I said yes every time. So now I am stopping. Tessa sat back down. What about the wedding? I'll be there. Are you still helping? I'll do what a normal maid of honor does. Vendors. Number transportation. Number hotel confirmations. Number. She looked both furious and genuinely stunned. Then, what are you going to do? Wear a dress, carry flowers, and stand next to you. Very maid of honor. Dad pushed the spreadsheet toward me again. We still haven't settled the expenses. I picked up a pen and wrote at the bottom, Hannah $0. Then I pushed it back. My share is 0. Mom stood up. Hannah, if you walk out like this tonight. I picked up my bag and waited. She didn't finish the sentence. Good night. As I reached the door, Tessa called after me. You cost me that partnership. I turned around. There were tears on her face, but for once, she wasn't filming them. Next time you are angry, complain about me in private. Complain to Cameron. Complain to your friends. She froze. Just don't make money off a story that isn't true. I walked outside and got into my car. My hands were still shaking. I rested my forehead on the steering wheel for more than 10 seconds, then started laughing. My phone rang. It was Meredith. Hannah, where are you? In my car. Are you sitting down? More or less. The committee made its decision. You are in the leadership program. The car went so quiet I could hear nothing but the air conditioner. Congratulations. Thank you. At this exact point in my last life, I'd been standing in line for bottled water at the Island Hotel. In this life, I just pushed $9,700 back across the table. Jack texted too. Meredith told me. Congratulations. You earned it. Then another message came through. If you haven't eaten, the diner near the office is still open. I replied. I ate before the fight. Jack, smart woman. I smiled. My phone buzzed again. Tessa had sent me a 7-page PDF. Maid of Honor Responsibilities Final. I opened page 3. Item 17. Emergency candle inventory. I laughed so hard in the car that I folded over the steering wheel. I sent Jack a screenshot. 3 seconds later, Jack, were you being held hostage? Me, apparently for years. Jack, glad you escaped. I closed the checklist and sent Tessa only one reply. I'll be at the rehearsal at 6. Hire a coordinator for the rest. She replied with 3 question marks. I started the car. In the rearview mirror, the lights in my parents' house were still on. This time, I didn't turn around. Without me running everything, Tessa's wedding didn't fall apart. It simply started costing what it actually cost. The coordinator charged a rush fee because of all the last-minute changes. The florist refused to redo the centerpieces a 3rd time for free. The hotel made Dad personally sign the room block guarantee. Mom mixed up 2 versions of a spreadsheet, and the welcome bags ended up 20 short. Cameron handled guest transportation for the first time. At the rehearsal dinner, he had a phone in one hand, a folder tucked under the other arm, and his tie hanging crooked. Hannah, the second he saw me, his eyes lit up like he'd spotted a rescue crew. Number. He stopped. I haven't even said anything yet. That face means you are about to hand me something. He looked down at the folder. Fair. I straightened his tie for him. What is wrong? There are 2 versions of the hotel shuttle list. Call the hotel and confirm which one is right. I know. Great. He sighed. I honestly thought you liked doing all this stuff. I do. Do you like grilling? Yeah. Would you like to grill for 100 people all night for free? He nodded slowly. Point taken. Tessa hurried over. Hannah, did the candles arrive? I almost laughed out loud. You are really asking me about the candles. What? Asked the coordinator. She is dealing with the table linens. Then wait. Tessa was clearly about to snap. Cameron raised a hand. I'll handle it. Tessa looked at him and, to my surprise, actually kept quiet. I clinked my glass against Cameron's. Congratulations on your promotion, he glared at me. On the wedding day, Jack came simply as my date. When we arrived, he noticed I was carrying only a small purse. That is all? What? I thought the maid of honor was supposed to carry an emergency kit. I used to. What was in it? Tape, a sewing kit, medication, chargers, safety pins, stain remover. He stared at me. Were you planning a wedding or invading a small country? I laughed so hard I almost stepped on the hem of my dress. Today, I brought lipstick. Growth. The wedding was, predictably, a little chaotic. The shuttle arrived 15 minutes late. The custom napkins never showed up, and the flower arch was smaller than Tessa had imagined. But once the ceremony began, no one cared about any of it. When Tessa came to stand beside me, her fingers quietly hooked around mine. I squeezed her hand. For that moment, she was just my little sister, and I was just her sister. No folders, no credit cards, no backup plans. At the reception, I gave a short speech about the time she tore down the living room curtains as a kid because she needed a dress for a school performance. The room burst out laughing, and Tessa laughed through tears. I didn't mention the storm. I didn't mention the ferry. Later, a guest asked me, "Where do we catch the shuttle back to the hotel?" I stood there holding a glass of champagne. I have no idea. The guest blinked. I pointed toward Cameron. Ask the groom. I started laughing before I'd even finished saying it. That night, Tessa found me out on the terrace. Thank you. For the wedding. For the speech. You really did tear down the curtains. You could have left that part out. Too late now. She smiled, then quickly grew quiet again. I thought you might try to embarrass me today. I wanted you to take responsibility for what you said. I never wanted to ruin your wedding. She looked down and picked at the ribbon in her hands. People online made me sound like a monster. People online also made me sound like someone who abandoned her family. I was really angry then. I know. When you left, it felt like you chose yourself. I looked at her. I did. She lifted her head. What? That one time I did. Before that, I'd chosen all of you for years. Her eyes turned red, but she didn't cry. Do you still love us? Of course. Then why don't you help with anything anymore? I do help. I stood beside you today. I gave a speech. I brought Dad a coffee. She frowned. You know what I mean. And you know what I mean. I gave the ribbon in her hand a gentle tug. Loving you doesn't mean being responsible for you. Cameron's voice suddenly rang out from inside the ballroom. Tessa, one of the buses is at the wrong entrance. She looked at me automatically. Our eyes met. I didn't say a word. She stood there for 2 seconds, then exhaled. I'll call them. Good idea. She took 2 steps, then turned back. You've gotten really annoying. You've always been annoying. Finally, she laughed. 2 weeks later, Jack and I stood at the ferry terminal. I had 1 suitcase. Jack pulled his own, and he handled his own ticket, and coffee too. The family group chat suddenly lit up. Tessa, does anyone know how to fix a hotel booking when you put in the wrong dates? Dad, check the cancellation policy first. Mom, just call the hotel. Cameron, I'll look at it with you, Tessa. I was asking Hannah. Dad, she is not in charge of the ocean, and she is not in charge of hotels. I almost sprayed coffee everywhere. Tessa, how long are you all going to keep using that joke? Mom, at least $9,700 long. My shoulders shook with laughter. A moment later, Tessa sent another message. Fine, I called. They changed it. Staff started boarding passengers. Jack looked back at me. Coming? Yeah. I locked my phone, scanned my ticket. The light turned green. Beep, the exact same sound. This time, my hand didn't shake. As the ferry pulled away from the terminal, I took a seat by the window. Sunlight scattered across the water in sheets of silver. Dad sent another photo. He and Mom were at the airport. Dad's flight got canceled. Already rebooked it ourselves. Then, he added one more line. Dad, didn't call you this time. I smiled as I replied. Proud of you. Then, I set my phone face down on the table. In my last life, I thought leaving my family meant I was selfish. So I kept turning back, paying their bills, explaining things for them, and cleaning up every mess. I thought that if I made myself useful enough, there would always be a place for me. Eventually, I learned that some places aren't given to you by love. They're given to you by labor. The ferry moved into open water. Jack lowered his book. Want to look back? I turned toward him. A what? He nodded behind us. I smiled. Number in my last life. I had a ticket and never used it. In this life, I finally understood that choosing myself didn't mean abandoning anyone else. It only meant giving their lives back to them. And taking mine back for myself. Tell me, darlings, have you ever noticed how quickly family loyalty turns into emotional extortion the very second you stop opening your wallet? Let's take a long, elegant look at our dear Tessa and her enabling parents. Tessa didn't want a sister. She wanted an unpaid concierge. She weaponized her own incompetence, crying to the internet the moment her personal safety net decided to walk away. And the parents? You're the older sister. You're so strong you can handle it. How many times have we heard that brilliant little manipulation? We see this exact parasitic dynamic play out in real life every single day, don't we? Women are constantly conditioned to believe that if we just make ourselves useful enough, we will earn our place. We absorb the chaos. We manage the itineraries. We pay the bills. And we slowly start confusing our exhausting labor with their love. But listen to me very carefully. When toxic people tell you you are so strong, it is rarely a compliment. Usually, it's just a convenient excuse for them to hand you their heaviest bags. When you finally stop overfunctioning for adults who refuse to grow up, they will always call you selfish. Let them. Let them call you a villain on the internet. Let them choke on their own $9,700 bills. Hannah realized the ultimate liberating truth. Rescuing capable people from the consequences of their own actions isn't love, it's a hostage situation. By choosing herself, she didn't abandon her family. She simply handed their lives back to them. Ladies, your time, your money, and your peace of mind are not a family subscription service. The girl in our story has already taken back everything that was hers. Tell me, sitting in front of this screen, are you ready to rewrite your own script? I am Nova, wishing you sweet dreams tonight, and tomorrow, a phoenix rising from the ashes.